Today's episode of the Botch Pod is brought to you by our new favorite fantasy app called Draft. Here's how it works. It's a season-long best ball format. Your best players get automatically selected, and you'll get the best score every week. You can draft a team anytime you want, and the best part is you can play for cold, hard cash. Leagues start from just $3, so there's a league for everybody. Just search Draft in the App Store or go to playdraft.com and come play free with promo code FakePigSkin. For a limited time only, all new players get a free entry into a $3 best ball draft when you make your first deposit, but you have to use our promo code FakePigSkin. Let's go, guys.
December back in '63. What a very special time for me, as I remember what a night. Oh, what a night. You know, I didn't even know her name, but I was never gonna be the same. What a lady, what a night.
And welcome to the Botch Pod Sunday Night Roundtable presented by FakePigSkin. We are at halftime of the Sunday Night Football game, in which we have a very boring showing between the Seahawks and the Colts. We'll get to the snooze fest in a moment. But first, let me introduce you to the Botch team. I'm Josh Bennett, and I'm joined by my better half, Michael Vincent. What's up, Mike?
What's going on, guys? How you doing tonight?
Doing all right. I'm also joined by the self-proclaimed face of the podcast, Zach Van Kirk. Zach, how's it going?
Unmute your microphone.
Yeah, I have to figure that out. I'm doing pretty good. Had a terrible day. It wasn't that great of a day of football, but Red Sox are AL East champions, so it's a pretty bright moment on the weekend.
Well, that's good. Cool. Baseball. Cool. Let's go ahead and get the show started. Zach, coming to you first. What were you going to say, Mike?
I was going to say, if we're going to talk about baseball, the Cubs also wrapped up the National League Central on Wednesday.
Nobody cares.
And they eliminated the Cardinals on Thursday with the AAA team. So
yeah, nobody cares.
Thanks for joining us in the division championship race, Zach, on day 161, game 161.
Real quick, how are the Reds doing right now?
The Reds lost a lot of games. They actually won today, so they're ending their season on a high note.
That's awesome.
They beat my Cubs, but they finished about 30 games out of first place.
And they won 68 games, so they didn't even make it a nice season.
No, It wasn't nice. Okay. All right, well, that's enough baseball talk because it's going to turn all of our viewers away. Let's go and get the show started. Zach, I'm going to start with you. Your boy, Amari Cooper, caught 2 passes on 7 targets for 9 yards today. Why do you like a bad football player? Did I just kill Zach?
No, it's I don't like bad football players. I like really good football players that who happen to have quarterbacks that get taken out of the game before they can really be a factor.
Well, that's what did it. That's what stopped Cooper today.
Also, playing against one of the top-rated defenses in the NFL. So it's I'll take that next week when they play. I'm hopeful for next week when they take on the Baltimore Ravens, who are 2-2, coming off 2 bad losses. So just watch for Cooper next week.
Okay,
DFS.
next week.
That's you know what? I think Zach's right. I think at this point we can't even make fun of him anymore. He's not a good player, and he's not doing anything. He's got 3 catches in 2 games. And there's got to be a point where we just say, hey, you know what? The number 1 receiver on the Oakland Raiders was out today, Michael Crabtree. You figure Roberts and everybody else would pick up the pieces. Instead, I think Cordell Patterson had 4 catches. The guy, the number 49 from their backfield, had a couple catches.
Jimmy.
Yeah, everyone. I think he cost them the game when he didn't jump high enough for that interception to break up that pick to end the game.
Oh, that's what cost them the game. You're right.
That's your guy. That's a dynasty top 5 guy. So
top 5 pick with 9 yards today.
Yeah, maybe next week he gets double digits.
Next game, What's the next game?
In general, for him or for everybody?
No, for the topics tonight. Who we going next?
We can talk about injuries. Today was ridiculous with injuries.
We already talked about Derek Carr, but Mike, I was gonna ask you about Dalvin Cook. He's been leading the league in total yardage through the first 3 weeks, and today he went down with a non-contact injury. The Vikings are saying that he completely tore his ACL, or almost completely. I didn't understand the wording on that, but it was an ACL injury. What does this mean for the Minnesota Vikings and for Cook owners in fantasy moving forward?
Well, first of all, let's say this. Breaking news, player initials DC got hurt today that played with Cordell Patterson. And that could be Derek Carr. It could be Dalvin Cook. Both are hurt today. So that's for Brennan.
Shout out to Brennan.
Dalvin Cook was having a crazy season. Rookie running backs this year have been through the roof with their production, whether it's Hunt, whether it's Kamara, the other guy, McCaffrey maybe. But Dalvin Cook was probably the one that was getting the most volume right out of the gate. You saw him on Monday Night Football balling out week one. It's going to be a shame because he was helping the receivers get open. Thielen and Diggs, they're going to take a little bit of a nosedive if you got Latavius Murray or Jerick McKinnon behind in the backfield. I mean, they're not going to command that much respect as Cook was getting. So Keenum was starting to get going with him, and it just looks like it's going to be a step back. For the Vikings and for Cook owners, I think you just have to treat it just like an injury. If you're in a win now situation and Cook's the kind of guy that was going to help you get to that next level, if you can get something comparable, go for it. If not, hold him, and his value is only going to keep going up as just like anyone else that gets hurt and is that young. I mean, Le'Veon Bell never lost value with his injuries. David Johnson only because he was a little bit older.
Right, and I'd always read that, and I'm not a doctor by any means, but I've always read that an ACL injury isn't as bad with modern medicine. If they go through the proper channels in terms of physical therapy, they can usually come back with a stronger ACL. So
yeah, Giovanni Bernard was barely out. Like I think he got hurt in week 16, and he was back out there preseason this year. So
right,
it's just a matter of staying healthy. And they said I'm not going to get into like a medical argument or everything, but Derrick Rose was a Chicago Bull. He tore his ACL. He prolonged his rehab because he didn't feel ready. Everyone says, well, you don't want to come back too early. You got to rehab. But playing is part of the rehab, and you're not going to get hurt, and you're not more likely to get hurt coming back day one or 20, 25, 30 days later from when you're supposed to. It's just a matter of getting out there and getting reps as part of the rehab assignment.
Right.
Other injuries, it was pretty bad actually today. I mean, in terms of injuries and
it was.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus Mariota left the game today from the debacle with the Texans. He left with a hamstring injury. He definitely will. If he's out, that offense will look awful today. It hasn't looked in sync all season. Between Corey Davis, Rashard Matthews, no one's really stepping up as the number one. Davis can't stay healthy. Decker has been non-existent. DeMarco
Big disappointment.
Murray,
huge disappointment too. I thought he would be effective.
Yeah, I thought he'd be good in that role. DeMarco Murray has been completely. He's been a giant disappointment. And Derrick Henry hasn't stepped up. Delaney Walker, you can see that he's starting to get a little bit older, and it's starting to show. They've had two good games and two stinkers. They got destroyed by Houston and Oakland, and then they beat Jacksonville and Seattle in a surprising game. So I don't know what you're getting from the Titans. The AFC South is wide open as it always is. So they just have to figure it out. But if Mariota's out, it doesn't matter. They don't have the firepower as in their backup. I think it's Matt Castle. It might not work out for him long term.
Right.
Julio Jones left today with a hip injury. He had a back injury from last week. He hasn't really returned on so far this season. 4 games in. Mohamed Sanu was out too. I mean, you saw Matt Ryan had a terrible time throwing. I think it was Justin Hardy, and I think Taylor Gabriel had ended up with no catches. It changes the complexion of what they're doing when they don't have their top guys there.
Right. Zach, let's talk about some good players. We'll stop piling on about Amari. Todd Gurley today went 23 carries for 121 yards. He had 7 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. Unless Kareem Hunt scores about 27 fantasy points, 27 PPR points tomorrow night, Todd Gurley is the top scoring fantasy player through 4 weeks. What's contributing to his complete 180 from last season, which was just horrendous?
Honestly, it's the fact that Jeff Fisher is no longer in the building. I think he was honestly what was wrong with that entire team. It's not like McVay's come in there and just implemented a brand new system that these guys have never seen. These guys have played plenty of football. It's the fact that I think just Jeff Fisher just had his head up his ass, just while coaching and planning for games. You get McVay in there, and he knows exactly what to do with these guys. Granted, they lost that game. I mean, you can argue that they haven't had the toughest schedule right now, just with who they've played. But the fact of the matter is they beat the Cowboys today, who are supposed to be one of the better teams in the NFC, and they also dropped 35 on them. And then the previous games, they dropped 41. In the loss to the Redskins, they only scored 20, and then 46 against the Colts to open the season. So it's not like they're falling into these wins there. They're putting up a ton of points.
Right, they're producing.
Is the greatest show on turf back? Is the question.
Oh yeah.
I just realized that we had a question from someone in the live chat, and it was Shane something.
Oh God.
No. Shane, question for the panel: why does DeMarco Murray hate me? Zach, do you want to talk about DeMarco? I kind of went on that, but
I can answer that. Why he hates him? It's because everyone hates Shane. Just kidding.
Shane does go.
I like Shane.
He calls himself the worst. He calls himself. Shane would be perfect for the Botch if Shane wanted to come on the Botch. So that's.
Oh no, he's definitely got a standing invite, for sure.
No, DeMarco Murray. I mean, real talk. He. Everyone's like, oh, Murray and McCoy are going to fall off they're going to fall off the cliff eventually. They're 29-30. You got Murray's backup. He has a legitimate backup. McCoy doesn't. The difference is McCoy's still getting the volume because they have no one else to go to. Whereas with the Titans, whether it's game flow or the fact that they do have a lot of mouths to feed and they're not doing a good job, Murray's not getting enough touches. And when he is, he's not doing anything with them. You take away that 75-yard touchdown from last week, he had another mediocre game. And now I think that's 4 straight games that he would have close to or around like single digits of fantasy points for the year. So you just got to wonder if he's over the hill or if he's just not going to be the guy he was even last year.
Right. Zach, do you want to contribute as to why people DeMarco Murray hates Shane?
I think DeMarco is just kind of. I mean, not every running back can be Frank Gore and play until they're 34 and maybe even beyond for Gore, but I don't know. You just kind of have to look back to his Dallas days. He's got a lot of wear and tear. He's got a lot of miles. Although he wasn't playing every single snap in Philly, I mean, he was still getting a decent workload. He's gotten a decent workload since he's been in Tennessee. I don't know. He's probably just hitting that wall, or I mean, even more so too. I mean, it's the offense itself could be just working in, Derrick Henry a little bit more. So, whatever. A lot of people hate Shane. It's not just DeMarco Murray. So,
right. Sorry, Shane. We love you, but we hate you.
It's a hygiene. I think it's a hygiene issue from him. So.
It's a voice issue. It's
a singing.
Ugh. Okay. Let's move away from the Titans and talk about their division rivals, the Houston Texans. They dropped 57 points today on the Titans defense. Deshaun Watson had 4 total touchdowns. Mike, is this the result of an easy schedule, or is Watson the real deal?
I believe Watson had 5 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Did he have a touchdown carry?
Yeah, he ran one in. He had 2 to Will Fuller, 5, and Hopkins and somebody else. I think Lamar Miller.
That's great right there.
Yeah, that's crazy. So Houston, they almost escaped New England with a win. We'll talk about New England in a minute. That's disgusting. That week 1 game, call it what you will, the hurricane, week 1 jitters, Tom Savage, they lost. But I mean, they've won 2 of the last 3. They've won 2 of the last 3 in pretty convincing fashion, and they almost won the third game with. They beat Cincinnati, they beat Tennessee, and they almost beat New England. So you got to wonder if they're for real. Again, it's the AFC South where it's open. I think last year they won it with 9 wins, and it's not exactly the biggest division, the most competitive division in the NFL. So you just got to put yourself in a situation to win 8-9 games and get in the dance, and whatever happens. The Colts are not who the Colts were with Andrew Luck. Even if he comes back and is remotely successful, he still would have to go 5-2 or 6-3 just to maybe break even for the year. So I think that division is the Colts. I'm sorry, that division is the Titans with Watson leading the way, and I think he's the real deal for them at quarterback. And if he's good, it's going to help Lamar Miller. It's obviously already helping DeAndre Hopkins and everybody around them. So especially now with Will Fuller back, that's only going to help DeAndre Hopkins even more.
Right. Zach, you are considered the mock master, which, by the way, people that are listening need to sign up for mock drafts on FakePigSkin.com. You're the mock master, and you participated in and managed multiple mocks throughout the offseason, primarily rookie mocks. How is this rookie class looking to you so far? I know it's only 4 weeks, but is this rookie class good at football, or are we just seeing some outliers kind of? Are they overproducing at the moment?
I mean, honestly, there's weaknesses in some area. Like you look at the quarterback class, and it's probably just because some of them aren't starting yet. You haven't seen Mahomes. So I mean, but if you look at really the one main starter, it's Deshaun Kaiser, and he's just not really performing all that well. But if you move down the line to other things, I mean, we talked about Dalvin Cook earlier, who's just been killing it there. Him and Kareem Hunt are the 1 and 2, in terms of rushing yards. And then you kind of go down the line. You got Leonard Fournette, who's still a stud, of course, in his own way. He's just kind of has to acclimate a little bit there more than the other guys. And also Jacksonville's an entirely different team. Tariq Cohen, obviously killing it there. Chris Carson. There's a few guys, obviously, and that's just for rushing yards there too. But you look on the other side, maybe the receivers are a little bit more weak just because there's no huge standout just yet. But I mean, as far as it goes, it's the running back class. I think is definitely holding up to its own. I just don't think it's the same running backs that we all predicted would be killing it. This time last year, and of course we'll throw McCaffrey in there too, even though he had a not so great game, and he's kind of started off a little bit more slow than these other guys. But I think the running backs are the ones that will stand out the most throughout all the positions, the skill positions.
Okay, cool. Well, good stuff, guys. Let's get to our revenge games. If you listen to our Wednesday show, we highlighted a few revenge games over the week 4 fantasy action. I'm going to go with one. And Wade Phillips got revenge over the Dallas Cowboys, the former team he coached. So good for him. It's always good to see old coaches get revenge over their former franchises. Mike, I know you got a ton of revenge games you want to talk about. Go for it.
Definitely. So Robert Turbin called it. He would get a revenge game.
I saw you talk to the guy on Twitter. The guy was like, "Who saw this coming?" And you were like, "The Botch Pod."
Botch Pod did. So Robert Turbin, after leaving Seattle and Cleveland, and he's on the Colts, had a chance to play his former team. Just scored a touchdown earlier today, so you do get something out of Sunday Night Football. Mike Wallace, former Steeler, scored a touchdown today for the Ravens against his former team. Ted Ginn did not score a touchdown. Ted Ginn Jr. Ginn. He did not, but he had a decent game. Kenny Stills did not have a good game against his former team and his former teammates up down there in New Orleans. There was a few others. I don't remember them because they didn't stand out.
The Phil Dawson revenge game.
Oh man, four field goals.
Incredible.
Yeah.
With Andy Lee holding.
Andy Lee, the punter. Exactly.
That's awesome.
I'm sure there was others. I don't. Oh, Martellus Bennett, 6 catches, 39 yards against the Bears. Not great, but if you're in a PPR league, that's good. If you're in a no decimal standard league, that's 3 points, and that sucks. And I don't know why you're playing standard scoring anything.
I think one that stands out to me most is that you said Patrick DeMarco was going to get like 7 goal line carries.
Did.
And he got 1 carry for -2 yards. So.
But he got it. You know what they said? It was his first carry since 2011.
Wow.
And they were trying to feed him the rock. against his former team.
With one time.
Yeah. Christian McCaffrey did not do a good job on his audition for the Patriots.
No, he didn't.
The Eagles won the Darren Sproles Memorial.
Wow.
And going back to the Rams and Cowboys, the Rams won the Lance Dunbar revenge game.
Oh, I forgot about that one. I forgot about that one.
It's okay.
That's okay. Okay, guys. Well, let's throw it to your all's favorite topic for some reason. Baseball. Awesome.
Yes.
To be honest with you, I don't even know who made the playoffs, who didn't. So just enlighten me. Pretend like I don't know anything about baseball and tell me the future few weeks of baseball. I don't care.
Well, there's a team that plays in Cleveland. They're called the Indians.
Oh, that's
They
offensive.
blew a 3-1 lead in the World Series last year, and they're back with a vengeance.
Who'd they blow the lead to?
My Cubs.
Oh,
They're all of our Cubs.
we're all
So-
covered today.
No, to answer that point, for those who do like baseball, it is the playoffs. There's 10 teams left out of the 30. 4 teams will play in wild card games this week, or it's a 1-game playoff. Zach's Arizona Diamondbacks will be taking on the Colorado Rockies in Arizona on a 1-game playoff. The winner goes to the Dodgers. The Dodgers, the Cubs, and the Nationals all won their divisions. The Cubs and Nationals open up a 5-game series on Friday in Washington. So that's the first time a defending champion has made the playoffs since 2012 when the Cardinals did it. It's the first time a defending champion has won a division since 2009 when the Phillies did that. So what the Cubs did is pretty remarkable to even get back into the playoffs. On the other side, the American League, Zach and his other team, he can bring you through that.
Yeah, so it's the Red Sox are division champions, so they don't have to play a stupid-ass wild card game. We left that to some morons who finished second in our division, the Yankees, and then they're going to play the Twins. Twins won 85 games this year, and they're a playoff team. So looking to see if the Yankees get past that little contest. And then it'll be Red Sox in Houston for the first 5 games or up to 5 games. And then the winner of Minnesota versus the Yankees, which I'm just dying to see them, who wins that game so they can get swept by Cleveland in 3 games.
It's going to be interesting. Let's think about baseball. Big sample size in the regular season, and it comes down to a 3-game series. Last year, I think the Red Sox had the best record in the American League, and they were punted out of the first round. But Zach won't remind you of that. So, yeah, I mean, seldom does the best team in baseball also win the World Series. That almost never happens. It happened last year.
It happened last year against somebody's team in this podcast, so we won't go into too much depth, but it was last year that it happened for the first time in 90 years.
Was it the Reds?
That was the Cubs. Cubs won 103 games, and they won the World Series.
Oh, did they? You haven't mentioned that in the past few days. Cool. Here's my question for you, Zach. If the Diamondbacks and the Red Sox played in the World Series, who would you cheer for?
My allegiance will always go to the Red Sox because the Diamondbacks weren't around when I was a kid. So it's like your parents getting divorced and then you never see your dad and you find this new stepdad or whatever and he's cool.
Not stepdad.
Not stepdad. So and then your dad finally comes back in the picture and he's like, oh, hey, you want to throw a ball around? That's what the D-backs are. And the Red Sox are that cool stepdad that's like, just there's no pressure. You don't have to call me dad. In time you can, and then eventually you do, and he's your dad. So
Cool.
Yeah.
I have a Red Sox tattoo as well, so I have to go for the Red Sox.
Zach, if you could, what would be bigger for you? If the Red Sox won the World Series or if Amari Cooper managed to get 10 PPR points? What happens first? Let's rephrase. Do the Red Sox win a series, or does Amari Cooper get 10 PPR points in one game?
Well, let's see. They play Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Nope, Sunday. So, I don't know. The Red Sox. If the Red Sox sweep, that means they finish the series on Sunday. Amari Cooper plays on Sunday, right? So, let's go with the Red Sox.
All right.
Nice. Well, that about does it on my end. Anything you guys want to say to the audience before we wrap up?
This week was a self-reflector for me with fantasy football. I'd got really lucky for the first 2 weeks, and I was 2-0 in a bunch of leagues.
And you talked a lot of shit about it.
Yeah, it's almost like you kind of hit that hubris that everybody gets, like when they get too cocky, and then you plummet.
And I'm just like, God, this actually sucks for so many people most of the time. And I thought to myself, this is what happens when you draft really well, which I do, and then good players don't perform, and it's just the most frustrating thing in the world, losing games to people that I shouldn't lose to. But what happened with the self-reflection was I can't get mad about it because it happens all the time. And 90% of the time, you're going to win like half your games. And you get lucky, you win 10, 11 games in one league. But damn it, it felt so good to talk so much shit. And this week, I was humbled.
Humble pie.
Humble pie to drop me to like 3-1 in most leagues. But let's not.
3-1.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's a week-to-week league, guys. And you always just have to stay focused. Keep your head on a swivel.
Absolutely. And really the first 4 weeks are the kind of the least important because you got every team at full strength for the most part. There aren't that many injuries. You really don't have any bye weeks unless you have a hurricane threatening to destroy one of our states.
How'd that go?
So, the hurricane, not good.
No.
Not good at all. Cool. Zach, anything to add before we get off here?
Patriots loss was miserable.
Oh yeah.
Don't really know why they just let the clock tick away and they had 3 timeouts.
What was the time left when the
like 30-something seconds left? But if you think about that, they can knock it down to 20 seconds. With a couple of plays that the Panthers had to run. Then you get Tom Brady, the best quarterback in the history of National Football League, out there to run a 20-second drill to get a touchdown to Brandon Cooks, and instead he just lets it run down.
Yeah, it's annoying.
It's a shame.
That's awful. All right, well that does it for the Botch Pod. What, Mike? What?
I just got a question. I mean, I'm surprised you didn't talk about it at all. Alvin Kamara.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll talk about that. Yeah, Kamara looks great. I don't understand why they signed Adrian Peterson. He does not look like a fit at all. Every time he gets on the field, you can just pretty much guarantee a 2-yard run. He just doesn't look like he fits in that offense. Ingram does his job, but Kamara's the man. Kamara is so versatile. He can be pretty much a receiver out of the backfield. If he gets the kind of volume he got today, he is automatically a bell cow headed forward, and he's paying dividends for some fantasy team that drafted him as their RB3 or 4. So
it's true.
It's true. Also, last week, if you listened to the Sunday show, Sam and I did not end up making a bet, thank God, because the Bulldogs came to Neyland and embarrassed the Tennessee Vols.
What was the scores? Did you guys score?
No, we didn't. We got shut out, actually. Amari Cooper, we almost put up an Amari Cooper stat line. But we were close.
0-0-0.
Yes, it was brutal. And the calling
0 hits, 0 runs, 0 errors.
Right. The call-in shows were hilarious, though. So we'll always have vol calls. That'll always keep us going on the bad days. So,
there won't be a show next Sunday.
No. Why won't there be a show next Sunday?
Josh is coming to Chicago.
Hell yeah.
He wants to go through gunfire and corruption, so the best way to do it is actually live through it in Chicago.
To live through it with Mike, because Mike is really experienced with gunfire and corruption. Mike, question real quick. With the Bears being terrible and the Vikings just pretty much all dropping like flies, do you think that'll affect the prices of Monday Night Football tickets next Monday?
That to wrap it back around, that's also game 3 of the NLDS, and that's the home game for the Cubs and the Nationals. So Wrigley Field will probably be where everyone's at, and not Soldier Field.
Okay. So you think I get cheap tickets to go to that?
You could probably get like $30 tickets to go to.
Ooh.
Not even joking.
Nice.
Monday Night Football, Kyle Rudolph, and the Minnesota Vikings, Sean Hill.
Kyle Rudolph. What about Stephon Diggs?
Yeah, he's good too.
He's pretty good.
He is. He's good.
Okay.
He's all right.
We'll look into that. Are you going to the Cubs game while I'm there?
I am.
Are you really? Wow. That's awesome.
I said this in the group message the other day, but it's okay.
I don't read the group message that much because Sam just doesn't shut the hell up in there. So I just kind of
shout out to Sam.
Shout out to Sam for never shutting the hell up.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that does it for the Botch Pod Sunday Night Roundtable. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Josh Bennett. You can find me on Twitter at DynastyJosh. You can find Michael Vincent on Twitter at MV Tweets Here. And you can find Zach Van Kirk on Twitter at Zach, ZACHHHVK. Did I get that right, Zach?
No,
Yeah.
cool.
I did? Okay, cool. You can follow our podcast on Twitter at Botch Pod, and we're always down to answer questions during the week, so shoot them our way. We don't get many questions, so y'all need to step your game up. Be sure to check out our work on FakePigSkin.com, and please sign up for mock drafts. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
See you guys.
Oh, what a night.
One night.
Late December back in '63.
Probably our worst show we've done.
What a very special day.